Are we on? The meeting will be called to order in about 15 seconds. I guess somebody's probably going to do a countdown to make sure I'm right. But anyway, just have a couple of seconds just to give you advance warning. And the seconds are up. It is 10 o'clock, probably less than 15 seconds. And welcome to the January 4th, 2018 meeting of the Volusia County Council. We'll call the meeting to order. And as soon as I can find the rest of this, we have the invocation today will be given by Rabbi Silverman of the Temple Israel of DeLand, and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I wrote this down. Honored Chair and district representatives and attendees gathered here today, on behalf of Temple Israel of DeLand, Florida, and all the Jewish people of Volusia County, I bring warm and sincere greetings to you on this first council meeting of 2018. We have always had a good relationship with our county government. We will endeavor to continue this relationship at all times, forever and ever. As we invoke the blessing of heaven on this meeting and its objectives, I'm reminded of the blessing that the children of Israel say when something is about to happen for the first time in the year. Light is sown for the righteous and for the upright of heart. Gladness, be glad, O righteous in the Lord, and give grateful praise at the mention of his holy name. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this season. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I didn't even hesitate. Good to see you. Happy New Year to you. Well, I think I do feel a little bit warmer now, standing up. But thank you, Rabbi. We appreciate you being here. And for those of you who would like to have the leader of your faith community address and offer the invocation, it's open to all. Just contact our assistant city clerk, and she'll make sure that that happens. Can we have the roll call, please?
Yes. Ms. Cusack? Present. Ms. Denny's? Here. Dr. Lowry?
Here.
Mr. Patterson?
Here.
Ms. Post? Here. Ms. Wheeler? Mr. Kelly?
Here. I guess that was me. That's it. Okay. Everyone is present and accounted for. At this time, does anyone have any item on the consent agenda that they would like to comment on or pull? Mr. Deneen would like to comment on item C, and Ms. Wheeler would like to comment on item D. Mr. Deneen.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Donna, if you'll come forward. I think that especially at this time when we are dealing with homeless issues, I think it's important for everyone to understand what we're trying to do, because behind the scenes, we do a lot. And one of the things that we do, I don't think people appreciate enough, is we spend $13 million a year and $7 million out of your general fund. A big part of it is to try and keep people from becoming homeless, especially in weather like we're having today. Donna?
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of council. Donna Butler, Community Services Director. So this agenda item provides you an opportunity to support the homeless prevention in two different ways. We previously had always done rapid rehousing, but some of the agencies came to us and said, we might like to do that a little bit differently. So when we put our RFP out, we got two different ways that the agencies would like to assist the homeless. One is through the Family Renew community, which you're probably familiar with, has a facility in Holly Hill and then also in DeLand. And they would like to do a homeless prevention programs. So for folks that are currently in their own home, they would help them stay in their home. So they would, if they're in arrears and about to be evicted from their apartment or their home, they would pay that rent and try and keep them there. So those are families at risk that we're trying to prevent from becoming homeless. And secondarily, Neighborhood Center of West Volusia, you're familiar with them. They're going to be running the DeLand shelter when it's completed. They are actually helping homeless in rapid rehousing, getting them quickly into housing as soon as possible so they can move forward with those things. So that's how we're helping the homeless in that particular way.
I thought it would be good to have an update.
I just want to ask one question. This rapid rehousing is for families, not single individuals. Is that
It's
correct?
not identified one way or the other, but the intention is for families. But if someone is an individual, they're not going to be turned away if they meet the criteria.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, while Donna's up here, if I could, I've had a couple council members I think who would like me to make a comment just to clarify something. I think the article in the paper today was correct, by the way, about what's going on with how we handle the homeless, especially when the temperature gets cold. I just wanted to point out, in addition to everything that was in the article, we appreciate all the support. I want to definitely mention Dr. Lowry and how he came forward, and he knows basically how it works with us. The one thing that got missed, though, is in addition to everything we do to coordinate this, and this is how it's worked with us and all the emergency management operations across the state, though we actually do more because of Votran and because of some of the things that we do with our corrections people and delivering cots and things like that. Also, I'd like to remind the public that one of the big things that we are planning on was all the millions of dollars that the council committed to building facilities, especially in First Step and in DeLand, and even Hope Place, that we plan on, and it's always been the plan, and I know you felt this way, but it hasn't gotten out there. This is part of the plan for, as soon as they're built, to be on the master list with all the churches and all the other organizations. So we would be, helping to get people there and referring people there. And if they needed, for example, say a facility could take 100 people, we'll say at First Step. Well, a lot of times in cold weather, you can squeeze people in. Maybe they can take another 30. We would then help deliver the people through Votran and through the COTS. So just so people know, our plan was always to put them on the list because they are all set up and they're running year-round. They'll have the staff and the ability to handle in cold weather. So in addition to all the other social agencies, we're going to get the double bang out of the money you're putting forward for not just an ongoing program, but we're going to use them for cold weather shelters too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Donna. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Wheeler?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to discuss the state contract to purchase the furniture for Daytona Beach Regional Library. Mr. Deneen, if you could just kind of update people on that. I happened to go through the library yesterday with Lucinda. Hi, Lucinda, I see you. And I have to tell you, I mean, we've had a lot of negative comments about what we're planning under the curtains or whatever. This is a destination library. It's a beautiful facility, and it is going to be gorgeous when it's completed. They have completely gutted that and are still gutting it. From the walls, from 2.5 feet down, everything has been replaced. So we are going to be adding new furniture and whatever, but this is an absolutely gorgeous facility, and we are not going to leave this facility, and we don't have plans for it, but we're also building that playground that's going to be dedicated very shortly. So we're hoping still that April is going to be the opening, but let me tell you, after going through it, to even see the amount of work that's been done, it is just like a total reconstruction. It really, really is, the amount of devastation. I'm sorry, but if there's anything else you can add with it, and I didn't know if Lucinda wanted to say anything, but, one of the other comments there, we had some negative comments on, well, it's just another place for the homeless to go. Well, that's not true. We have places for the homeless to go, and, it's not their local spot that they just hang out. This is a real destination library.
Well, Ms. Wheeler, I think that in addition, like you said, we're going to do the dedication to the Rachel Robinson Children's Park back there. That'll really anchor that building. In all fairness, maybe I'll clarify something, because this sort of got missed. When we were at Eggs and Issues, the chair gave me the opportunity to explain where the council was in the long run. Somehow that's gotten pushed aside. And what I told everyone, and the chair knows, was that we did not have a plan. There is no in our 5-year plan, the library's there. There's no plan to replace it. There's no plan to move it. And he simply said, which I think every council member has a right, is that if I could find a way, he would like us someday to look at that. Now, I think everybody believes that we probably ought to look to the future. But for the run that we see, there is no plan to remove that building. And you're right, Ms. Wheeler, all that money, and hopefully we will get reimbursed from FEMA and our insurance. So the downside is the damage and the time it takes. The upside is we're going to be in that building for the long run, and we are really doing the right thing. And so you're going to go in, and for all the heartache, you're going to have a lot nicer facility than you had before the storm. So it will really look good, and you're right, it is a destination library. A lot of people love it. In fact, I think some of the comments that came out is because so many people do like it. So it's there for the long run. That's the view of the council for now. And in all fairness to the chair, he didn't try to say it was the council. He made his own comment, and he didn't say anything about getting rid of it. He said just replacing it someday. So I think that's been misconstrued.
Yeah.
And I did want to comment too that, as far as I know, and Lucinda make it clear, but I mean, it's never flooded before that you know of in the history. So this was a first time event. So it's not like we're putting money into something that's going to 5 years down. Oh yeah, it could possibly happen. But this was an astronomical.
It was unusual.
Yeah, it was very unusual. Thank you.
Just to add to that, the question came, in light of the recent flooding and the damage to the library, should we possibly look at it? And I said, yes, we should look at it. Mm-hmm. Did I say we should close it? No. Did I say we should move it? No. The answer was we should look at and see if there's any reason to do anything since it had. And you plainly stated, I don't have the money to do anything.
Right.
It's not in the 5-year plan. And then somehow, and we know where all it came from, from one of the writers. They picked up on it, and then the editorial board picked on it. And next thing you know, we had everything in the world torn down. The jack was moving, and everything else. So that's how it all got started and expanded on. And the people are writing me comments that are not correct because they weren't there to hear what was said. And I think that was the important part is, and oftentimes once it's said, it's then re-repeated, and it becomes a gospel truth. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Ms. Denny's.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just to comment to this, because it seems to be happening more and more, and the last thing we council should have to worry about is being censored in the court of our public dialogue when we're out. We all have opinions. We're all individuals, but nothing happens until a majority of council agrees on it. And when we're out, we have opinions, and we will state it. You know, we've all done it. We all will do it because it's what we do. We're all individuals and strong leaders in our own right. So I don't want this could have a discouraging effect, and I've seen it a little bit. I don't want that to discourage us when we're out in public to certainly share our hearts, our minds, what we think for the future, and then to be censored for doing just that because of the Florida Sunshine Law. This is the only way we do that, and it's where it belongs. And I would encourage council and you, Mr. Chair, all of us to not be afraid to share those thoughts, because going forward, that's how we go forward. And perhaps someday it will be in the long-range plan. It is not now, but there's other issues. So that I've just been watching this and some other issues, and we'll move on. Thank you.
Okay.
If I can add one final comment to that, which was we had one other misunderstanding, and that was if the court system, together with the stuff that we have in New Smyrna Beach, if there's ever a thought by the council, we're going to make a change eventually with the court because the chief judge decides how the operational side goes. But if we make that change, there are services in New Smyrna Beach that this council would decide on what you're going to do. We would never recommend it. You move all the services out. You'd probably look at modernizing them, and maybe you could even make it cost neutral if you could sell property to build something new. But I think there's this thought you're also going to abandon other services down there. well, no, but if you don't look at modernizing things over time, that wouldn't make sense. So that also is another rumor that needs to be squashed.
And I'll make this one last comment. I think even the library should be modernized. I think if we ever build another library, I think we need to look at its uses and where we could expand maybe the use of computers and services and things like that. Libraries are not what they were 50 years ago. They're not used in that way. And we should always be willing to look. Doesn't mean you're going to do something, but we have to talk and share ideas. And I'll just make it perfectly clear when I'm out that I'm not representing the council unless it's on something that is council recommended. And people need to understand that. And they can throw me under the bus if they want to. I just don't want them throwing all of you under the bus in the same time, or the management, or anything like that. So, because I can take getting run over by the buses that they throw. Ms. Post.
I actually wanted to comment on H, but in regards to that, I just wanted to say, I know that that issue had come up earlier this year as well, and I would like to reiterate, I do have opinions, and there are things that I say in public on various issues, and you know, I'm in agreement that those may not necessarily be the opinions of the council as a whole, but those are my opinions, and I agree. So,
You want to comment on H?
on H,
Okay.
yes. H was the settlement of the liability claim of Janine Morgan, and in talking with staff, I just wanted to say perhaps we can come up with some sort of clarification in the future, because it seems to be a repetitive issue, and the fact that we're paying out money when it's not necessarily even our jurisdiction, but you know, but it's cheaper rather than going through the courts to argue our jurisdiction, seems sort of silly to me. So I know that that's been an issue as to whether or not who maintains the sidewalks on various roads and things like that, but I would like to suggest that we perhaps try and work on something very definitive to say, you know, look, this is our SOP in the future, this is our standard operating procedure. The Attorney General's opinion came out in 2008 on that. You know, we're not responsible in a number of those areas, and I think we need to stick by that, because that's money that we're paying out for nothing.
Thank you. Maybe we can bring that up as a discussion item at some point. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Approve, Wheeler.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Patterson. Any objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, the motion passes unanimous. And now we'll move to item number 1. And item number 1 is the election of the County Council Vice Chair for 2018. Do we have Mr.
Chair.
Patterson?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Deb Denny's for Vice Chair.
Second, Wheeler.
Motion has been made to nominate Ms. Denny's for Vice Chair for 2018. Are there any other nominations? Motion's made and seconded. Any objection to the motion?
Unless Ms. Denny's objects.
No,
She
she
doesn't
doesn't count. Her little light's not going off, so she can't object. She doesn't count.
Usually it's when her eyes are rolling around real fast.
Is that a conflict of interest?
Hearing no objection, Ms. Denny's is elected as the County Council Vice Chair for 2018.
This is
Thank you.
this is going to save us from having to buy more business cards. I don't think she's used all of them up yet.
I knew there had to be some money in there.
New shirts.
New shirts and all that. Okey-doke. We'll move to item number 2, and this is a resolution. Is there a motion to get this on the floor for discussion?
Also
Moved. Is there a second?
Second, Wheeler.
The motion's been made. You have the dates before you, Ms. Denny's.
The only conflict that I have is the March 13th date.
Well, that's this. Wasn't that a secondary one?
Yeah, that's the alternate.
I would be for not. Oh,
Hold on.
Mr. Chair, I think I can solve that problem. is if you have a problem with the March 13th, that was the alternate, okay? So we're actually now suggesting that it stay with March 20th because we did not need to use the alternate.
Okay.
That was also true for alternate for July 24th.
Okay.
We looked to see what NACO conferences were or whatever. It does not look like a majority of council members are going to go, so we don't need to use those two alternates. Just so you know, on the October 30th date, what you can see, which looks kind of strange, you got 3 days in October, but that was only because November 6th, which would have been the meeting, is election day.
Right.
So it really made more sense to actually use the last day of October, which we're allowed to use legally, and on the 30th, or next to last day, and then you go to November 20th. That will work. As I've told you, we're trying to make this so this will work out as smooth as possible. And then in January, it looks a little strange, but January 10th is the one that's required by the charter. That is a Thursday. And what we did is, so we're not back to back, we put January 22nd, which is the fourth Tuesday of the month, to avoid that back to back.
Okay. Mr. Patterson?
No, I was just gonna comment
Okay.
that I just don't like the whole thing, would rather stay with the Thursday, and, so,
I think you'll like it after the 6-month trial, and if you don't, we always said we will look at it, and you'll have fun, and it'll give you a lot more weekends to campaign. And,
it really doesn't
Free
matter
time.
in my case. You
so
know,
the motion was
every
made
day's a
for
work
the
day.
agendas that were set, not with including the alternate dates.
I hope that helped, is that we gave those as an option, but we're not going to need to exercise them. So we're recommending you adopt the non-alternate
Okay.
dates.
So that was the motion that was made and seconded. Any objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, the motion passes unanimously. So
Ms.
thank
Chair?
all of y'all. Yes,
The only thing that we will have to struggle with, and you have to bear with me, is for us to get us through to the February 6th meeting. And so we'll have to kind of work with you because of the changeover.
we'll work with you because it's going to be a lot easier for you in the future, I do believe, for you and staff to be able to pull the meetings on that date. So,
Okay.
and we'll move to item 4,
Yes.
and Mr. Deneen.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we're going to bring forward, as you know, we contract with McDonald Transit and for our services with Votran. And we're very pleased, we have a little trepidation, but that Steve's moving up in the company. And so there's an opening within Votran that is actually a McDonald Transit employee. And we are enabled to be part of that interview process. The candidate that you have before you, which will be introduced by Donna and Steve, became the #1 person, and we are proud to say that we're going to try and introduce him today, and I don't want to steal their thunder, so Donna, Steve, whoever wants to start the discussion.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, council members, Mr. Deneen. It's my pleasure today to introduce to you Robert Stevens as our recommended general manager to take my place as I move into a different role within the corporate office. Rob comes to us from West Texas, Midland, Odessa, Texas, where he's spent several years as the general manager of Easy Rider, the transit system there in Midland, Odessa. That's also a McDonald Transit contract. And Rob has been in public transportation since 1992, so 25 years of public transit experience. And he's very excited to now be with us in Florida, and looking forward to hitting the ground running here with Votran. So I'll step aside and let Mr. Stevens introduce himself.
Thank you, Steve. I promise I didn't bring the cold weather. I didn't do that. I'm not responsible for that. Mr. Chair, good morning, members of the council, and Mr. Deneen, thank you for the opportunity. I'm excited to be here. I got big shoes to fill with Steve, but I'm glad to be here and embellish the opportunity to help keep Votran, your public transportation system, the very best it can be. So I look forward to working with all of you and getting to know everyone, engaging the community. Thank you so very much.
Okay, thank you. You sure you didn't bring it from Amarillo?
No, sir.
where the water was frozen over and the poor cattle were couldn't get water to drink? Having to use those longhorns for something beside just looking good. They had to break the ice to drink. So I'm not so sure that somebody didn't bring it in because it came from the west. I do know that. Donna, is there anything else? There's no action required on this except to accept the plan?
Just to acknowledge, welcome him, and understand who the next candidate is. I feel very comfortable because of our inclusion in the interview that he's a candidate that not only has the technical skills, but I'm very convinced, which is very important at this council, that he has the professional skills and the social skills and the understanding of the clientele that we're dealing with to really do a fantastic job. And while I don't know if anybody can fill Steve's shoes, this will get us as close as we can get.
Well, good. And thank you very much. And thank you for what you do with that. And you'll have some growth plans, I know, this year that are probably in process being implemented as we talk. Ms. Post.
Mr. Stevens, I'd like to say welcome. And Mr. Scherer, I do want to say I was very happy to find out that you are still going to be an active member of the community, even though you got promoted. So congratulations, and we're glad that you're staying. But thank you.
Ms. Cusack.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to Robert Stevens, welcome to Volusia County. We look forward to your expertise as we work toward bettering and increasing the visibility of our Votrans system. I also like to add that we have worked hard to make this a diversified workplace. And not only do we want to do that, but we want to make sure we get the very best. And so I think that we are in that arena to get the very best. So I think that you are the very best candidate for this job, and we look forward to your expertise and you increasing the visibility and the expertise of our Votrans. Thank you so much for coming, and we look forward to our partnership.
Ms.
Thank you,
Denny.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Scherer. Again, we're glad you're staying. We're glad you're staying here in the community. Congratulations. Are you familiar with trolleys? Did you have trolleys? Steve has a whole file on trolleys. Steve, make sure you give him the whole file and nothing but the file on trolleys. All right, welcome aboard.
Ms. Wheeler.
Again, welcome aboard, Steve. I'll miss you in that role, but we're very proud that you're going on and to bigger and better things, but glad that you're staying in the community. And just welcome to you. We're so glad that you're here, and you have to be top-notch because that's what they bring in, top-notch. And do you have a Volusia pin, sir? You need to have a Volusia pin on your lapel
I bet he has
at this
one.
very moment. Thank you. You are now ours.
You explained to him there's a low jack on those pins. didn't you?
Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Stevens, I hope that you've been talked to Steve about the Sunrail issues we're going through right now. And that's my only kind words that I have at this point. Thank you for coming here. We really were good.
I saw him mumble, "What's Sunrail?" Anyway, okay, thank you very much, and we'll move on now to item 5. And item 5, we'll open the public hearing. I have a staff report from
Good
Mr.
morning,
Irvin.
Clay Irvin, Director of Growth Resource Management. Before you is the first of many proposed amendments to our zoning and land development codes. Back on October 19th, 2017, and I do need to correct on page 5-1, the date is listed as October 19th, 2018. It was actually October 19th, 2017. We presented to you a series of proposed amendments to these codes that are based on input from the Smart Growth Committee, from the public sector, private sector, as well as the council in regards to changes that need to make the code much more efficient and up to date. These are what we were considering to be the low-hanging fruit. In other words, these are ones that were easy to work through and easy to implement. This, again, has gone through the PLDRC. We've made the public notice. We have not received any comments. We are going to be working forward from this point forward, with the VBIA and VCARD, because now we're going to be starting to get into more of the substantial issues, some of the deeper changes, so that way those who are in the development community can review what we're proposing and provide comments to staff so that we can make sure we're well-rounded in what we present you. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. On pages 5-1 and 5-2, there's a summary of the different changes that were proposed. There's 22 identified. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions of Mr. Irvin? Have no one wishing to speak on this item from the public. Ms. Denny's. I'll close the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Irvin, number 9 establishes a fence permit.
Yes, ma'am. What it is that there's currently some ambiguity in the Florida Building Code in regards to what a fence permit constitutes. So what we are doing is we're putting in place a zoning permit to ensure height, location, and type of fencing is being properly monitored and permitted. So that way, if the Florida Building Code does not mandate a permit, we have a way of ensuring that a fence is being put in the proper location. It's kind of double counting to make sure that we're ensuring that folks are putting their fences where they need to be.
Okay, so that's almost like a housekeeping. We're just making sure
Yes,
that,
ma'am.
that we're following the Florida Building Code. Okay, because that in and of itself looks like we're adding a new permit. And I want to go down to 17, allowing the PLDRC to recommend approval of zoning and special exception by majority of members present. That's going to, what the effect of that means it will not be coming to council. Is that accurate then?
No, ma'am. Those are the two that do come to council. But what has happened is that they have had times where they have not had a quorum, or they've had a...
It's the quorum effect.
And so right now the code reads that they cannot come to you unless 4 vote in favor. So we're going to allow for it to move forward to you for your final decision based on a majority of those present.
This was the concern that was causing all the continuances.
Right.
When we would have 4 members of the PLDRC present and only 4 present, you would have to have a unanimous vote. This allows for the project to go continuing forward with a recommendation of approval with a 3-to-1 vote.
What Clay's trying to get rid of is arguments that we delay things by bureaucracy here. And so that actually slowed things down artificially, and Jamie and them worked on it to try and make sure that it moves along quickly. And we're trying to do with this because all this development's speeding up. And so people are looking for ways to get rid of delay.
I was going to say it was used as a very tactful delay, not by us, but those coming before the PLDRC.
Exactly.
So this cleans up the quorum delay.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I need for clarification. Thank you.
Ms. Cusack.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On number 18, allowing for a tie vote of PLDRC to be grounds for continuance. And presently, it means that the vote fails.
Yes, ma'am.
And so what is the rationale for changing it, for
Because what
making
we
it
were seeing is
continuance?
when we would have a member missing and we would have 6 members present or 4 members present, a tie vote resulted in it going forward with a recommendation of denial. The applicants would typically request at the hearing to have a continuance. In other words, the PLDRC was asking this to be put in place so that there's grounds for allowing the continuance once they had a tie vote. So again, it's not an attempt to, we're trying to streamline as much as possible. At the same point, we're seeing that this is going to be, as Ms. Denny said, a tactic that's been utilized by applicants in the past. And so we're just basically putting in place the grounds so that the PLDRC members know that they can allow for that continuance to occur.
I'm not convinced that it would be a tactic for to maintain a continuance. How do you, when it's only the board members that you're talking about, not the applicant?
What would happen is, just to give you the scenario, if we had 6 members present, the applicant walks in, sees that he only has 6 members present, automatically he'll come up, or she will come up and ask for a continuance because they do not have a full board, and they would like to be able to go forward with an action that includes all of the board members. So in those
So they don't even want to come up for a vote then?
Correct. That's what they were doing in the past. What we're trying to do is avoid that, to allow the vote to go through, and then that way, if they do get a majority, they proceed through. If it's a tie, then they can request a continuance at that point. So that way, if they are able to get we don't even know what the vote's going to be. They're just assuming that it's going to wind up being a 3-3 for a tie and a denial. This allows them to go forward with the vote. If they get a positive or a negative, you know what it is, and we can proceed forward.
Right.
If it's a tie, then we allow for them to have the continuance, so they have a full contingency of the board members.
So the continuance will come after the vote?
Yes, ma'am.
With a little bit of heartburn, I'd say, okay.
Well,
Mr. Patterson?
yeah, normally under Robert's Rules of Order, that it would fail.
Yes, that's what we're saying.
It
We
will
understand.
fail, but you allow for a continuance.
Yes, sir.
To have a vote on a what if the continuance is tie vote?
Then the continuance would fail, and it would come to the county council with a tie vote and recommendation of denial.
Okay, all right, that's good. All right, I'm all happy.
Any other questions? I need a motion to,
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Chair, I move for a second hearing on ordinance 2018-05, updating Chapter 72 of the Land Planning Code of Ordinances for January 18th, 2018 at 5 p.m.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded.
No, it does not need to be at 5 p.m. as long as a super majority of you vote for it to have it earlier in the day. So if
Okay,
you would
well,
like it,
I'm just reading this here, it says 5. So
I might,
that change that to 10:30
thank you.
a.m.
Any other questions? Motion's made and seconded. Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And at this time, we will open up the public participation, and I have one individual, Mr. Robert Money, who would like to address us. Morning.
Morning, thank you. This is my third appearance. I'm Robert Money. I'm at 1512 Newport Avenue in DeLand, and this is a serious topic I've been dealing with. My property at 1512 Newport Ave in DeLand at the airport area, it resembles a military defensive position to deter the organized crime network I am exposing. Last year, after 8 years of the highly stressful situation, the follow-up call to Senator Bill Nelson's office, where his representative gave me little hope. It caused a panic attack. I told them I was going to seek treatment. At Stuart Marchman Act, Daytona, I was interviewed by Dr. Riviera and a black man identifying himself as Rodney, a court liaison. Why was a court liaison present? I have discovered later the perfect diagnosis for a man opposing the system was given: delusional. The crack cocaine dealer, Wynell Pitts, aka Chopper, whose brother is a narcotics unit agent, knows my false diagnosis: personal, confidential, protected by law information. The certainty Wynell Pitts and Mike Henry, a known cocaine dealer, have in their impunity is confirming. December 21st, 2017, I notified the sheriff's secretary of my purchase of a shotgun to further deter the criminals. I'm in the open against them, okay? I have a concealed weapons permit for my handgun. Not long after that call did the convicted felon Wynell Pitts act to incite me. Law enforcement came to the scene. I was handcuffed, questioned, and then police left the scene. My handgun magazine was missing. DeLand PD called me yesterday to tell me its location. A disturbing development to that call, I was told a report was being generated that accused me of a threat of blowing up the sheriff's department. I'm forced to use the federal court system to expose this high-level, deeply entrenched network. The federal court, defender of the United States Constitution, a document so righteous as if written by God. The situation is the continuing struggle against evil, and Jesus Christ was sacrificed as an example. I would rather die than allow it. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak. My case is still pending before the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in Atlanta. Thank you. Okay.
I don't believe we have any other speakers at this time, so we will close the public participation. Is that correct? And we'll move
Correct.
on to discussion on matters not on the agenda. And we will start with Mr. Deneen.
No comments, Mr. Chair.
I have no list of who's next and what order it is. No, it's okay. I'll just start with somebody. Mr. Dan.
Yes, sir. I wanted to report to you that we had the conflict assessment meeting yesterday with the City of Daytona Beach Shores. We identified the issues that would be necessary for a joint meeting of the County Council. Implicitly, I'm saying that we did not arrive at an agreement to recommend to you. The statute requires such a general a joint meeting. Both sides agree, and we'll be seeking a date from you that would be coordinated with the shores. General, the issues that identified will be the authority of the county on the with regard to the location of parking on the east side of A1A. The city's a desire to have the county agree that would not purchase any additional parking on the east side of A1A. The city's determination by ordinance that it shall determine the need for parking on the west side. The city has proposed a payment in lieu of taxes, as I've described to you, for the property that to be used on the east side. Although we attempted, as a matter of conciliation, to propose a lesser density, the city has not agreed to that notion. The notion that's outlined in our agreement. The plan on the east side will remain an issue for your consideration. And while the parties have described, while the city has described its desire that there not be parking, though there could be driving in front of any lots on the east side, that's not an issue that's been discussed by the council, so that would also be a matter for your consideration during that joint meeting. So as I say, these are the issues which will be discussed by you with the City of Daytona Beach Shores City Council at a future time. And then if there's no agreement from that meeting, there would be mediation as required by the statute. So I sent a copy to you of their draft. There was no further drafts to be generated as a result of yesterday's meeting. We did have a healthy and discussion, I think, but no agreement. So that's the status report on that. If there's any questions, I'd be pleased to answer them.
Any questions? I think the only question I have is setting a date. Maybe we can do like we did before, was to try to set a date that works, and let's.
We did indicate, by the way, in regard to the location, that I think we might try to use a bigger room at the EOC rather than at the airport as it was previously. And the city has no objection to that.
Okay.
They found I don't think they were familiar with the quarters beforehand, at least not with the meeting space quarters. So they agreed that the meeting could take place.
But if we set a date or options of dates, And then, because we don't know that that's going to agree with them, right?
We don't know, so we'll probably have to,
Why can't you give us possibly a selection of maybe 3 dates? Huh? Set it, get 3, we can meet at these 3 dates, can you meet at these 3 dates, so that we don't give them a particular date and they say we can't meet?
yes, sir. It is our responsibility to propose the dates.
Okay.
We should
Right.
probably determine your availability on given dates and give them an option of 3.
Does anyone have any idea on a date? I mean, that's,
Do we have a time frame, time certain that this has to be done by?
probably as soon as possible, I'm guessing.
Well, there's a couple, pardon me? It would have to be there's a couple factors here. It's a meeting outside the county seat, so we'll have to give special notice for publication by at least 2 weeks. So it will be beyond 2 weeks. You should be looking for dates beyond 2 weeks.
So the week of the 22nd, is it?
How about January 29th, 30th, or 31st, the last 3 days in January? It's a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. They want 3 days, let's give them 3.
I'll be out of town then.
That works just perfect, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want my cranky self over there with regarding this.
Are you in the previous week, Pat? When do you leave?
Are you gone those 3 days?
I'm going to plan on being in Tallahassee. Get my calendar.
If I could add, I think the time you're discussing is, there's actually two deadlines, the longer of which is the statute requires a 10-day ad. So, and a News Journal probably requires 4 or 5 days, so someday beyond 15 days.
I'll be leaving on the 25th and coming back on the morning of the 31st.
What about the 23rd? Or 24th?
TPO board meeting on the 24th,
Yeah,
9
On
to
the
11.
23rd or the 24th?
Pardon?
No. Well, the 22nd, isn't that the state of the county?
Yeah.
I can't do the 23rd. I'm not going to be.
We could do it right after the State of the County, actually. Everybody will be there, probably. We could do before or after, probably after.
After.
Yeah,
We're all
do it
going to be
after.
out in that
I can do
general
it
area.
after.
It's not an all-day event, it's just a lunch. We could do it in the morning, 9 o'clock,
The other thing is
I can do it after.
or after.
I'd rather do it after.
Or
The other
after
thing
at
i-
the Ocean Center.
the other thing we could probably meet at the Ocean Center. You're already there.
That would be better to get a room there.
Okay.
Well,
Why don't
we can
why
make
don't
that
we
happen.
Offer them that date then,
Okay.
the 22nd at 3 o'clock?
Now, I would say that previously, the city requested 4 hours, that you'd be available for 4 hours. That's why that's how we arrived at the 1 o'clock time that was to have been the date for
They
the
can
time.
request 4 hours, this isn't going to take 4 hours. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I think they,
Want to make it 3, though? Because the state of the county ends at 2, so we'll just be hanging around.
here's what I think their real
We'll make
concern
it
is.
2:30?
2:30.
Yeah.
I think they might agree that it won't take, that it could take less time. They would like for you to have not the time available so that it doesn't cut off at an artificial
Well,
time.
we don't have to set the end of the date. We'll set the start at 2:30
That works.
until it's over.
So we're done.
And if we have to run into a situation where they get hungry, we can send for hamburgers around the corner or something. Or pizza or donuts or. 2:30? We'll set it for 2:30 on the 22nd. Let them know that's what it's set for at the Ocean Center location at the Ocean Center to be the TBD. How about that?
Got it.
can try that and then try additional dates if you, if they say that's.
We're just gonna give them that one date for now, right? Otherwise, we go back to what we said originally, because we've got to set the date, and then they can either refuse that date, and then we'll have to set another one. So try that one, Jamie, and we'll go from that, okay? Anything else?
No, sir.
Okey-doke. And tonight, we'll start with closing comments from Ms. Cusack.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no comments.
Ms. Denny.
Now, just one brief one. I had a response yesterday from Embry-Riddle that Space Florida has signed onto the consortium with Space Florida on the UAS project that Embry-Riddle is working on, thanks to our letters of support. So I think it's good that council's on the record. This is a growing project and one that's definitely going to bring benefits to Volusia County. So thanks for that support.
Cool. Dr. Lowry.
Thank you. I just wanted to make some comments in regard to a situation with what our church is doing. 3 months ago, I just want to make it clear so everybody understands what's going on, because there's a little bit of fogginess out there. 3 months ago, our staff sat down and thought it'd be nice to start the new year out with a soup, dinner, and a night of prayer. We thought that'd be a good way to start the new year. It was 90 degrees when we made that decision. And usually when we have events like that, everybody brings their favorite recipe, and you have more food than can humanly be consumed. And so when things began to appear yesterday as if there was a need with an overflow in Daytona as well as in Deltona, we kind of looked at each other's staff and thought, we're already on the runway. Let's do this. And so we did. And I just want to thank my church staff, Kathy and Brendan, Gloria and Sue and Adam, for their help. But also the county stepped up and provided supplies. Red Cross, HUM, City of Deltona, Sheriff's Department helped, Votran. Jim Judge was just spectacular in helping us get things done. Of course, our church people. We even had former Council Lady Pat Northey out helping us eat soup last night and help people. And also Bill Hudgens is contributing lunch today for the about 30-some people we have there. And so that's kind of how it happened. And we felt like we were there and we were already on the runway. We might as well just take off and go. And so it wasn't any kind of trying to upstage anybody or anything. We just we saw a need, and we wanted to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. And so I just want to thank everybody that helped. And we'll be continuing, tonight as well, housing the people and so forth. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of clarify that. I wanted to make sure everybody understood how the event came about. And our church folks last night thought it was a wonderful way to end the holiday for us to be able to minister to those people. And then, of course, I talked with Donna Butler some, and we'll go sit down and chat about things after we get past this event and see how we can improve and all that. But I just want to thank all those that helped, and we're having a blast. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Patterson.
Just let everybody know that you'll be getting a copy, copied on a letter that was sent that I'm sending to Secretary Dew, Department of Transportation, regarding I'm trying to set up a meeting with him when I'm up in Tallahassee, the 25th, 26th, or the 30th, regarding Sunrail. So just let y'all know what you'll be getting that letter today. And we have an upcoming Sunrail meeting next week. So we'll see what's going on. That's it.
Ms. Post.
Ooh, how do I follow Sunrail? I don't have any business to discuss other than to wish everybody a Happy New Year. And 2018, I think, is going to be an amazing year for Volusia County. So I am very much looking forward to it.
Ms. Wheeler.
Last but not least, I did want to say that I was at the grand opening for the center in Deltona, and if you have not gone there, you need to see it. They have done a wonderful job. It is a beautiful facility, and they had it all set up with vendors all around the inside. It is quite spacious, but they gave you the ideas of what you might use the facility for, so they had it set up for a wedding. It was absolutely state-of-the-art. It was gorgeous. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. And if you're going to be having a wedding soon, You might want to check it out because it's really spectacular. And the other thing is, I would like us to, I know we've discussed this, but I would like us to set a date for a workshop. You know, I think it would be important for us to look at some of the things that have been on the agenda, you know, even in the 5-year plan or whatever, and let us all discuss those items and make sure we're still all on the same path, or if we want to add new things. I think it would be a good time, since it's the beginning of the year, for us to come together and discuss our individual visions to put it together as a team.
Okay. I think that would be a good idea, at least for the start of the year, and maybe we could then narrow out or define or redefine or concentrate on certain goals and objectives that we have as a council, to put those out there, where we would like to go with those. And what I would maybe suggest is that we pick an agenda, pick a meeting when we're not having which is not the second meeting usually, when we have maybe a first meeting of the month, and do a workshop at 1 o'clock or something like that after the meeting. And I think that would, if that would work, we'll try to work something like that.
The impression I had, Mr. Chair, is that based on comments from actually 2017, that you and I were going to sit down and try to come up with something like that.
We will. Okay. We'll do that. Anything else? Now we'll go.
Chair, I just need to ask a question about our calendar.
Okay.
For, we possibly will have a primary election. And is that election going to be on the 7th of August?
I don't think it is. I think we would have checked that.
Marcy, do you know?
No, sir, I don't know. I did not check that. I apologize.
Yeah, let's find out.
Pull it up. I'm going to be, while she's pulling that up, I'll go ahead and I just have a couple of things. I'm going to Volusia Days on the 9th or 10th, 11th, and I already have appointments made with, Jim Cameron has made appointments with several people, one of whom is the Secretary of FDOT as well. So we'll be following Pat on that meeting, and there's probably a half a dozen other meetings that we have set up with key individuals within the state. So as well as the Florida Chamber of Commerce meeting. So yeah, it's the 28th.
August 28th.
So it's not in conflict.
We're not in conflict.
The only other election is the Lake Helen is having a meeting in April. Election, April 3rd or something. I don't know how that would affect us, but I think it's okay.
Yeah.
So that's the only other thing. And seemed like there was one other point that I had down here. Volusia Days, and with that, we'll adjourn at 10:58. Wow, that's starting the new year out right.